I'm Alicia Kidd from the Wilberforce Institute, which is part of the University of Hull, and we're talking about the Modern Slavery Act today, which was introduced in 2015. The government commissioned an independent review of the Act last year, and the findings have just been published. And we really welcome the findings, particularly in relation to Section 54 of the Modern Slavery Act, which talks about transparency in supply chains. Section 54 requires any large company, so a business with a turnover of over £36 million, to publish an annual statement, so every year talking about what they're doing to identify and tackle risk of modern slavery in their supply chains. But it's estimated that 40% of companies still remain non-compliant, even though we're 4 years after the Act was implemented. So some of the key recommendations of this report are that we shouldn't be allowing companies to report that they have taken no steps, which is one of the things that's currently allowed. You can publish your statement and say that we're not doing anything to identify slavery in our supply chains. Another recommendation is that we change the language from may to must. So we're outlining what must be required in a statement, therefore making it a lot more robust and making it much more similar between all the different companies that are reporting. One other recommendation is that Section 54, so the Transparency in Supply Chains clause of the Modern Slavery Act, should be extended to public bodies, and that non-compliant companies should not be eligible for any public contracts. And one final really important recommendation is that the government should strengthen the approach to non-compliance using a stepped model of punitive measures, so starting with a warning and moving up to fines as a percentage of the turnover, to a court summons, and then even to the disqualification of directors. Interestingly, some recent research carried out by the Wilberforce Institute into reasons for non-compliance included responses such as, well, is there a fine? So it really shows that the importance of including those punitive measures to make sure that businesses have a reason to be compliant. Overall, we do really welcome the recommendations regarding the Transparency in Supply Chains section of the Act, and attention to business is really important. But it would be hypocritical of the government to place all of the focus here without considering how its own policies are problematic, including the way that the asylum system generates the perfect conditions for modern slavery to thrive.